All right, we are only hours away from Donald Trump's second State of the Union, and Republicans are struggling to answer for his plummeting approval ratings. Republican Representative Jim Jordan just went live on CNN, and really quickly, Jim Jordan is someone who has been accused of covering up sexual misconduct. And 24 hours ago, we learned that Republican Representative Tony Gonzalez of Texas, the 23rd District, also pressured one of his aides into sending him sexual pictures, and then she committed suicide by lighting herself on fire. Now, Mike Johnson is covering that up, covered up for Matt Gaetz. Jim Jordan has covered things up. There is a pattern with men in power who then use and abuse that power to cover up sexual misconduct, and that needs to be pointed out. But that is a side note. Jim Jordan is confronted over Donald Trump's plummeting approval rating, and Dan Bongino is sweating on Fox News because he can't answer for this. Karoline Leavitt can barely answer for what's happening in Iran. The entire administration is struggling ahead of Donald Trump's State of the Union. And shout out to MeidasTouch and Move On, who are putting a competing event on called the People's State of the Union, the real State of the Union. Why would we legitimize a State of the Union of an administration that has been killing people in the streets, like Alex Preddy, Renee Good, and other even undocumented people in the streets? Why would we legitimize an administration that doesn't want to have a legitimate midterm election? Here's Jim Jordan being confronted on the polling that just came out.
Okay, so President Trump, you look at the polls, they're not good right now. It's yesterday. Before you jump in, this is the among independents. 26% of independents approve of Trump's handling of his job right now. He's now going to have the biggest audience that he'll have up until the midterms.
Yeah.
But how concerned are you about the president's standing among independents right now?
Well, there's plenty of time to change that, and I think tonight's speech, the president's going to do what I think you have to do in all campaigns. He's going to tell them what we've accomplished. He's going to tell them what we still need to do. And I think, frankly, he's going to remind the 30 million or so Americans who watch this that, the left is crazy. Every policy position they take is truly crazy.
He's going to say the left is crazy?
I think he's going to give examples of all that.
That's going to be his messaging tonight. There are reports that Epstein survivors will be in the crowd and will be there. The camera will likely pan to them. Trump may even get confronted. But the approval rating of Donald Trump, I'm sorry to say, Jim Jordan, is not going to go back up. A speech tonight where he spews demented vitriol for 2 hours is not going to change anything. They're acting like he's going to come out there and thread the needle and give a patriotic yet hard speech. No, he's going to go out there and just rant about how the 2020 election was stolen, about how he's going to end the war in Ukraine soon. I'm going to make a summary video of his first about year and 1 month soon, because the real State of the Union is that unemployment has gone up since he took office. Inflation has gone up since he took office. His tariffs have hurt small businesses. Then they got smacked down as illegal. Now he has to return the money. Just absolutely sickening. And what about Iran? He said no new wars, yet he struck Iran like 6 months back and said that their nuclear facilities were gone forever. Now they're talking about striking Iran again, and Karoline Leavitt can't even explain why we are. Watch.
No, the president's initial statement, and the president reiterated that statement last night on True Social, that Operation Midnight Hammer was an overwhelmingly successful mission that did, in fact, obliterate Iran's nuclear facilities. That is not just verified by the president of the United States, but also the International Atomic Energy Commission as well. That does not mean that Iran may never try again to establish a nuclear program that could directly threaten the United States and our allies abroad, and that's what the president wants to ensure can never happen again.
This is word salad. This is a vomit of word salad. She said that their nuclear facilities were completely destroyed. Their capacities are done for, but now we might have to strike them again to stop them from rebuilding the potential nuclear capacities they're getting close.
And just one more note, but with respect to Iran, before I run into my morning meeting, President Trump's first option is always diplomacy, but as he has shown, he is willing to use the lethal force of the United States military if necessary. So it's always, the president is always the final decision maker around here.
Is this going to be a perpetual cycle where Donald Trump every 6 months just reverts back to his policies? So he places tariffs on every country on Liberation Day. Then he delays it for about 180 days, delays, puts a 90-day delay on China, another 90-day. Then he places tariffs. Then the Supreme Court shoots them down 6 months later, so he places more 15% tariffs. When it comes to striking Iran, we've struck Iran, didn't work. Now we're going to have to do it 6 months later. He met with Vladimir Putin, didn't work. 6 months later, he does a call. It's like It's like a complete perpetual loop of failing policies under the Donald Trump administration. Here we have Dan Bongino, who couldn't even make it 1 year before going back to his shitty podcast. Bongino is talking about the Summer Olympics and the FBI. Remember, Cash Patel got caught 48 hours ago drinking and dancing with the men's Olympic team on our taxpayer dime. He was supposed to be over there as the official FBI director, as in his official capacity. And what did he end up doing? He partied, got drunk, and wasted our taxpayer dollars while completing nothing. Dan Bongino then goes on Fox News and talks about it.
No, Dan, and the left is so pathetic in so many ways. Team USA wins. Huge celebration. We already talked about it with Boomer Esiason. I'm still like crying in tears of joy for beating the Canadians. Incredible. Yeah. And now the only thing they can say is, oh, Kash Patel was celebrating with the athletes. How dare he celebrate with the athletes? I wanted you to tee off on that.
Yeah, well, listen, Kash loves the USA, loves hockey, and I guess he loves beer. I don't know. I thought he was a bourbon guy. But
he loves the USA's taxpayer dollars. He has abused our taxpayer dollars to fly around with his girlfriend. He's used Secret Service as personal security guards for his girlfriend. He then flew to his girlfriend's concert using taxpayer dollars in his private jet. He flew over to Italy so that he could, you know, party on our dime.
If this is what you're going to melt down about, Laura, listen, I probably did about 10 or 15 meetings about Olympics planning. The left doesn't know this, but the Summer Olympics are coming up in this place called Los Angeles. It's in the United States. You may have heard of it. So the FBI has a significant footprint in the security planning. So for him to go over there and take a look at what's going on in Milan, what they're doing about drones.
He's going over there for security reasons by getting drunk with everybody. Let's return to Karoline Leavitt, who's going incredibly viral, who is talking about Donald Trump's State of the Union tonight and says he is going to fix the problems created by Joe Biden a year ago. The problem is, 1 year ago, Donald Trump was the president. You know, if you want me to do a live stream for the State of the Union tonight, drop a like and subscribe. Let me know in the comment section. We'll do a live stream.
And of everyday Americans who are directly benefiting from his policies and making a few new policy announcements as well to continue tackling the affordability crisis that Joe Biden created 1 year ago. And the president will be talking about the positive metrics we have seen and moving forward towards making life again more affordable and prosperous for all Americans.
You can't just keep using the but Biden strategy. Like, imagine if 2 years from now they're still like, you know, Biden was the president quite literally 1 or 2 years ago. We're still just coasting off of his policies. Biden left the unemployment rate and the inflation rate lower than it is right now. Donald Trump screwed that up. Donald Trump has screwed up foreign policy, domestic policy. He is increasingly unpopular because of his own mistakes. Here's Witkoff talking about Putin. I mean, this clip has 1 million views because everything he says is so dumb. Everything this administration says is so dumb. I'm showing you clips that have all happened over the past roughly 24 or 48 hours. Karoline Leavitt, Dan Bongino, everybody is so incredibly embarrassing in this administration.
So hopefully you'll be hearing some good news in the coming weeks.
Well, a lot of this does boil down to Vladimir Putin, and I know you've dealt directly with him. So first of all, what is that like? And how do you, with this position, go into dealing with some of these adversarial people?
He's never been anything other than straight with me.
Come on.
And I say that and I get attacked. But that
if you think that Putin hasn't been anything other than straight with you, then you are a fool. He is playing you as a fool.
It's an accurate statement. He's told me that this is what his red lines are. You know, Lara, I got attacked for going to meet him 8 times. How would you make a deal with someone on the other side unless you knew where the other person was coming from? I needed to understand what his motivations were, his goals, and so forth. And I actually think that a lot of those meetings now are becoming very relevant. We understand where they are.
Steve Witkoff is a real estate guy who's been viewing this war through the lens of a real estate deal, but that's not what it is. Putin wants power, land territory, not for real estate reasons, not for a negotiation deal, but because he wants to restore the former empire that he looks up to, that he glorifies. He will stop at nothing. He will kill hundreds of thousands of his own people and of people in Eastern Europe because he wants to continue to dominate. These people are so dumb. Their foreign policy takes are awful. And here's Karoline Leavitt referring to Iran, and her answer is just terrible.
But what the United States is doing to ensure that not only America is the safest country in the world, but remains the strongest country in the world.
Does he consider Iran a threat that remains abroad?
Well, look, Iran chants death to America. So you tell me if that's a threat. Elena.
You know what's really threatening? Something that Micah Irfan points out all the time on his channel is that Iran was killing their protesters. So Donald Trump sent out a post and he said, go out there and protest. We will have your back. And when hundreds of thousands of people went out to protest because they thought the U.S. would have their back, Iran killed 38,000 more people. And Donald Trump did nothing, didn't have their back, pulled the rug, and just acted like it never happened. This happened literally last month. Now, I'm not saying Donald Trump should have immediately struck Iran or whatever, but don't make a promise, get people killed, and then renege on that promise. I'm going to leave it there. If you appreciate these videos, drop a like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.